What a monster weekend for football here in the state of South Carolina. Clemson trying to get back to 500. South Carolina trying to maintain bowl eligibility. It hangs by a thread. And oh, baby, Cole Bryson is on the field at Burns High School, Nixon Field to be exact. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel. You Tolos are already jumping into the stream, and we absolutely love that and appreciate you for Toloing, which means turn it on, leave it on. You don't turn it on halfway through the show. You turn it on at the beginning of the show. That's how you do it, and then you listen all the way through the end. Cole, man, you're down there on the field. Tell us or take us down there with you. What are you seeing?
Well, I wanted a little change of scenery from sitting in the press box from 3 o'clock. Actually make that like 1:30 until 10:30.
So you tired of all the free massages they give you in that nice bougie new press box?
I'm ADHD.
Okay.
That's the real answer, okay? Like severely ADHD, like squirrel syndrome, right? So, you know, in class, like in high school, I always got in trouble because I just take random bathroom breaks, which turned into walks down the hallway, which turned into, Cole's been gone for 30 minutes now, right? Unfortunately, I'm telling you, man, I can't sit still. And I had to change it up. So I said, you know what? I'll go down to the field. And you kind of said it right there. I mean, this is a huge weekend for South Carolina football, not just with high school football, but our in-state teams, one of those in action tonight. It's a big football weekend, and man, how fun it would be if both teams somehow, some way could get it done.
Yeah, Clemson could still theoretically afford to drop this game because they're at 4 wins. They could, they're likely going to beat Furman fairly easily next week, and then South Carolina the week after that. Who knows? What kind of pride and fight would still be in those Gamecocks if bowl eligibility has already eluded them. But man, what a big one. We're gonna get into that South Carolina conversation, and we'll go behind enemy lines coming up a little bit later on in the show, right, Cole?
Unfortunately,
no, it changed.
Unfortunately not. Andrew Monaco, listen. So I'm glad you brought that up. Andrew Monaco, the play-by-play voice of Texas A&M, was supposed to join us. However, he, as you can imagine, the day before a game, got busy. He also calls basketball, so he had some basketball duties today, and unfortunately, he had to cancel on us. So we will not be able to go behind Aggie enemy lines today.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, it was some kind of like 30 cal pileup on I-45 and I-14 headed through College Station, Texas. I was gonna think there was something like a fan.
We can say that
a twister came through, a sidewinder, a big old pile of rattlesnakes on the interstate. I don't know.
We can make it up. I mean, nobody will know if we say that.
Well, that's unfortunate, but we are going to talk about South Carolina, and as a matter of fact, Clemson as well in this opening segment, Cole, because I want to pose a very interesting question. The Clemson-Louisville game, pretty much a toss-up, right? I think right now the spread is down to 1.5 points in favor of Louisville.
Yeah.
But the spread in the South Carolina at Texas A&M game, 17.5 points. So let's park on that number for a second. 17.5 points. What's more likely to happen? And Tolos, call in 844-FAN-PHONE and text in at 844-326-3663. What's more likely to happen? What has the better odds of happening? Clemson wins against Louisville on the road on a Friday night game by 17.5 points, or South Carolina beats the 17.5 point spread against Texas A&M. South Carolina's got a lot stacked against them in this game. Clemson is on the road in a hostile environment.
So I like that. What's the current spread, by the way? Did you say 17.5?
17.5. That's 3 scores plus.
So we're asking, what's more likely, Clemson to win outright or for South Carolina to cover the spread?
Yep.
Ooh,
not Clemson win outright. Clemson wins by 17.5. Like a Clemson blowout on the road. Meaning
that's
a blowout
not
that they win with a blowout, or South Carolina beats the spread.
I don't think Clemson's going to blow out Louisville.
No.
I don't. No,
they held Florida State to 10. What was the margin against Florida State? It was Something like that.
I would say, Diesel, I would say this is a coin flip game. You brought that up for Clemson, Louisville. I would say, in my mind, as of 3:05 on a Friday afternoon, I'm leaning Clemson to win the game. I like Clemson to win tonight on the road at Louisville. I'll get into why in just a few minutes, but I like Clemson to win the game. I don't like Clemson to blow them out. I'll tell you why. I just don't know. I don't know in 2025 who I actually would pick in a blowout game losing to Clemson, meaning I just don't trust Clemson a ton this year, you know? I mean, hey, you and I both thought that Clemson would blow out Troy, right? Well, that didn't happen. Clemson in a blowout in 2025, I mean, the only relevance there is a tire blowing out, right? I don't know. I don't see a world, and could I be wrong? Sure. I don't see a world in which Clemson blows out Louisville tonight. Do you disagree on that?
I do disagree. I don't think it's incredibly likely, okay? And I don't want to jump the gun and give the answer to the question, 6 minutes into the segment here. But I think there is a path that Clemson could blow Louisville out of the water and beat them by more than 2 touchdowns on the road. I think there is a possibility. Look, Clemson has offensively looked really good the last 2 weeks. I get that the competition has been weak, and Louisville is definitely a step up in competition as you compare it to Florida State or offensively speaking here to the Duke game. But I mean, they put up a lot of points a lot of times this season. Think about the fact you go back the last 5 weeks, they put up 38, 41, 24, 45, and 24. So they're averaging, off the top of my head, somewhere around 35 points a game over the past 5 games, even though 2 of those games have been losses. The offense is not spectacular. They're not impressive, but the offense has been relatively fine. The question is if the defense can hold up their side of the bargain the way they did against Florida State. I think it is possible.
I guess my whole theory would be when you talk about a Clemson blowout possibility tonight on the road at Louisville going against Jeff Brom and Miller Moss, in order to get a blowout, Diesel, you obviously have to play very, very, very complimentary football, right? You have to be on your P's and Q's offensively, and then you have to almost pitch a shutout defensively, right? Unless you're talking about a track meet type of game. I just don't know, like, if you've ever, ridden dirt bikes or motorcycles and, you're trying just to find that next gear, right? We all live on the edge. We all want to kind of push the limits sometimes, Diesel. I'm sure we've all done it in different capacities. I just don't know if Clemson has that gear in 2025. I don't know if that's an option. You know how, like, when you go from one gear to the next, I don't know that Clemson has a blowout gear in 2025.
Well, put it this way. Louisville is operating sort of in that mid-20s range offensively.
Yeah.
And Clemson, over the last 5 games, operating sort of in that mid-30s range. So now we're talking about roughly a 10-point difference between those two teams and how they've performed. I think, with Miller Moss being as interception happy as he is, he can put up some yards, but he's just not putting it in the end zone.
He's not consistent.
Right. He's not consistent. So we've been saying this all year. I think if it would take an Adam Randall come out party of 85 to 100 to 115 yards to give them that opportunity. Number one, they gotta get this defense to play a little bit soft and allow Adam Randall to get into that second level, because he hasn't really shown the ability to do that consistently all season. So I think if Adam Randall somehow finds a way to beat and get out of this slump of 50 yards a game rushing, which is really pathetic for an RB1 at a Power 4 school, I think there's a chance that changes the complexity of this game, which could force them to crash down on him and then open up more plays on the back end, which is where Cade has been phenomenal over the last 4 or 5 games.
I'll tell you what worries me, Diesel, when you talk about the possibility of a Clemson blowout. What worries me is very simple. Jeff Brom. I like Jeff Brom. I think Jeff Brom's a coach that knows how to game plan and scheme properly in order to get the most out of what he has. And here's my issue. when you ask me to drum up a scenario in which Clemson blows out Louisville, could it happen? Sure. Do I think it happens? No, I don't. Jeff Brom, in my mind, Diesel, is an offensive-minded guy whose specialty is quarterbacks, who I don't think has gotten the most this season out of Miller Moss, but I think is still a very quality coach. My issue is very simple. I believe that Clemson has put too much on film, too much negative. I believe Clemson ultimately has put too many flaws on film. Meaning, I think Jeff Brom can pick up on that. I think Jeff Brom can scheme around that. I think Jeff Brom can find areas of this Clemson defense to find success in. Vulnerabilities is the word I was looking for. I think Clemson in 2025, when you compile all of the defensive film, I believe they have put one or two or three or maybe even four too many vulnerabilities on film. And with that being said, going back, I trust Jeff Brom, man. I trust that guy. I think he's a good coach. I believe he's a good coach. And I believe that Jeff Brom, based on those vulnerabilities, will be able to find snippets and areas of success tonight. Does that mean I think Jeff Brom's offense will have success from quarter one to quarter four? No. But I do believe, whether it's Miller Moss, and look, the injury to Brown is a big part of it. Them not having Brown, the number one Brown, they've got the number two Brown, but not having the number one Brown in Isaac Brown.
The what Brown?
The number one Brown.
What was the other number?
The number two Brown.
Oh, okay.
So Isaac Brown being out's a big deal. Does that play into Clemson's possibility of a blowout? Sure. Again, when I combine the gear of finding that blowout gear, when I combine that with my belief in Jeff Brom, that equals, in my mind, if Clemson were to win, I think a 7 to 9 point win's probably the max, the ceiling, best case scenario, Diesel, for Clemson if they were to win this game.
I agree that it's not super likely that Clemson blows them out, wins by essentially 18 points, 17 points. It would require, in my mind, probably a +1 or maybe even +2 in the turnover margin. I mean, Miller Moss would have to just start throwing picks all over the field. And we lost your video there, Cole. I don't know if we still have your audio, but we lost you. There you go. You're back. Dewey says, can we get Cole to do a live weather report from Nixon Field from the, where are you, about the 35-yard line? I can't tell.
Exactly the 35-yard line.
He wants a live weather report. We'll rate for that. You took one meteorology course, so you're more qualified than the rest of us to give that answer. And here's one thing that scares me a little bit is that Louisville is just a shade under 40% on converting on third down. Yeah. And this Clemson defense has not really shown the ability over the course of the season to really stuff the run, to break up passes on first and second down, put teams in long situations. I mean, Louisville very competent on third down. You have to defend for 3 downs to get them off the field. And I don't know that I trust this Clemson defense to do that.
Now, I will say, to that point, when you talk about Isaac Brown, one of the most talented offensive weapons that the Cardinals do not have tonight, when you talk about that guy not being on the field, you're talking about a guy that extends drives, that leads the team in receiving yards, right? That leads the team Diesel in receiving touchdowns as well. When you don't have that guy, and you're talking about third downs, and you're talking about Clemson Tom Allen defense and extending drives, the fact of the matter is not having that guy is definitely going to hurt Louisville's chances at extending drives, at having a higher third down conversion rate. All of those factors do matter, and essentially at the end of the day, it all comes down to what? The Jimmies and Joes. And if you don't have your Jimmies and Joes, I think it does put Louisville in a tougher spot. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Louisville's been successful Friday night. I like them at home. I think that matters. I don't know what data there is that proves why they're kind of successful in this spot, why this is a trap game. I remember, Clemson in past years under Dabo, had they been a little bit vulnerable, Diesel, on Friday. I can think back to, heck, I don't know, 2014 or 15 when Clemson went up to Syracuse and lost to Syracuse in the Dome on a Friday night. It was one of Clemson's better teams. I probably have the years wrong. It was around that time. But My point being, that's another factor. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I think Louisville has the advantage of it being a home Friday night game for whatever reason. I know that doesn't make sense, but we'll see if that plays into it tonight.
Yeah, so I'm seeing if I can find here a record for Louisville football on Friday night games. Oh, here it is. Louisville football is 25-15-1 all time on Fridays.
Wow.
I mean, they're dominating on Friday night games. I guess it's living in that world of being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, maybe so.
Some schools and some coaches are just such creatures of habit that you move their day up by a game, and it totally screws up their entire schedule.
And to be fair, on the Clemson side of things, when you talk about, like, if Tolo's just tuned into the show, you ask the question, which is more likely, South Carolina covering the 17 or Clemson winning by that, which would essentially be a Clemson blowout? I guess, to play devil's advocate, what you have seen in recent weeks has been more complimentary than, I can go back to the SMU game where complimentary football diesel was nowhere to be found around this Clemson football team, right? And Cade Klubnik, you look at his past, 3 or 4 games, Cade Klubnik's been very efficient. So, again, would it shock me? I would be very surprised. I'll tell you that. I would be very surprised if Clemson were to win by more than 17 points tonight. I think they win. I'm picking them to win the game tonight. I just don't know if maybe they prove me wrong. Ultimately, though, for me, it all comes back to, do they have that in them? Do they have that capability? Do they have that extra blowout gear? Maybe they find it for the first time tonight, Diesel. I don't know.
So let's flip that script, and I know we're kind of running late here on this topic. Flip it the other way. What does South Carolina have to do to keep this within 17 points, besides pray and hope that Marcel Reed hurts his knee in the first quarter?
Well, I can tell you this, with the injury report that's come out and South Carolina down more offensive linemen, that question becomes insanely more difficult to answer. Now, that is answering the question on how we find a path to victory. It is very tough right now for me to stand here and find a path to victory for Carolina. Simple as that. I can't. Now, can I find a path for them to cover the 17.5 points? Sure. Yeah, I mean, guys, 17.5 points is still a lot of points, right? I mean, you're talking about being down 24 or 21, 24 points late in the game, and South Carolina gets a backdoor cover in there. But ultimately, Diesel, South Carolina's offensive line is a major, major concern. We talked about it yesterday, how that defensive line of A&M stacks up against this South Carolina injury-depleted front. I don't like it. To answer your question, though, how South Carolina somehow, some way can keep it close, I think they've got to win the turnover margin, and I think they've got to win it by 2 or 3. I think there's going to have to be a significant win in the turnover margin for the Gamecocks to be able to keep this game close tomorrow.
We haven't seen a game where everything has gone right for South Carolina all season long, and that is exactly what it's going to take. Everything has to go right. You have to be incredibly efficient. You have to hit on big plays. You probably need a special team score. You need, if you drive stalls out and you're stuck on the 35 or 40, you need to be bombing field goals and getting points every single chance you get. Now, it's possible teams have those, oh my God, what's going on moments.
That's right.
Oh my God, games where you turn the ball over 4 times and nobody can figure out why. But I don't think that's going to happen with this A&M team.
I don't know that it does, and that's what worries me. So, look, if you ask me which is more likely, Clemson to blow out Louisville or South Carolina to win and keep it close, the answer would be, without a doubt, Clemson winning and winning big is more likely. But again, 17.5 points is a lot of points. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and to end the segment on my part and give you the answer to the question that you asked to lead the show. I'm going to say South Carolina covering the 17.5. Even with all of the injuries and the injury report that I just talked about with their offensive line, I still believe 17.5 is a lot of points, and I still don't believe Clemson has that blowout gear available. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go South Carolina could keep it closer in my mind.
Well, I'm going the opposite direction because Texas A&M is a behemoth this year, and they are scoring a ton of points on everybody. and they are holding everybody down offensively outside of Arkansas for some real weird reason. They beat Missouri on the road by 11. They blew the doors off of LSU on the road. They handled Florida, but not by a ton. They blew the doors off of Mississippi State. This is a blowout caliber team, and I think it's very possible that South Carolina has a long day tomorrow with that noon slot.
Diesel, speaking of blowout capabilities, last week in high school football, we talked about the numerous blowouts and the capabilities. I believe there are significantly less tonight. Let's get into it in the very next segment. High school football, round 2 of the playoffs. My official predictions that I literally just made official, 30 minutes ago, and I have gone back and forth on a lot of these, but we're going to talk high school football playoffs next on the Fan Upstate. Well, round two, Diesel, of the South Carolina High School League playoffs are here, man, and a big day, a big night for a lot of these local area teams, and I think we're in store for a really, really entertaining round two. A lot of high school football fans in the upstate. If you are going to a game tonight, let us know on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. If you also have a question, get it in at 844-326-3663. But the reality of it is, Diesel, also a little bit bittersweet because a lot of coaches and players that I have good relationships with, seeing their season come to an end last week and again this week, a lot of hard work is put in by these coaches. They don't make millions of dollars like these college coaches do. So I love high school football, but at the same time, seeing people's season come to an end is also a tough reality.
Before we get into your picks for the week, and it's a little bit shorter of a segment because obviously not quite as many games going on, Cole, is there anybody who has been eliminated at this point or, maybe didn't make the playoffs at all, who you would say has really made strides in their program this season? Obviously not the result they might have wanted, and they'd love to still be playing, but teams and coaches that you would say have definitely improved this season in a big way.
I think the easy answer there is Malton. I love what Andre Cook did this season. They finished the regular season 5-5, and kind of to answer your question, a lot of people look at the 5-5 record and think, oh, what an average football team. And you are what you are. They are an average football team. But when you talk about making strides, the situation that Andre Cook inherited at Malton High School wasn't good. I mean, they weren't in a good spot when it comes to their football program. So I think Malton locally, man, is the easy answer. I think they've competed their butts off all year. You look at that playoff game last week against Bowling Springs Diesel, where they got eliminated literally like in the very last few seconds of the game. Emory Logan of Bowling Springs made a terrific play to knock them off at home. It was the first home playoff game Malton had in over 25 years. So Malton's the easy answer there. They're going to continue to get better in my mind under Andre Cook.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into your picks now for round two of the high school football playoffs. Let's get into the team you just talked about that eliminated Malden, Boiling Springs on the road. Woo, and a big one at Dutch Fork.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. Make no bones about it. I can attest. Going down the Dutch Fork and finding a win is easier said than done, right? And Bowling Springs, I love them. Pulling for them tonight. Obviously, I went there, so I'm pulling for the Bulldogs tonight. But we talked about South Carolina A&M in that last segment, Diesel, and how things would have to go right. I kind of feel the same way. A lot would have to go right in my mind for Bowling Springs to somehow, some way pull this out. And frankly, I don't see a path. And no disrespect, I just don't see how it happens. I think Dutch Fork wins tonight at home, and Dutch Fork wins big.
Well, Dutch Fork is a machine, and I know this is not Boiling Springs teams of old, or last year or even the year before. It might have been a tougher game at that if this game was played a year ago. Let's get to the next one. Rock Hill on the road at Burns, where you're going to be.
Listen, this is a much improved Rock Hill team. Leon Boulware in his first season has done a really good job. They're 7-4 coming into this game, man. They finished the season 6-3 or 6-4, and then they got that playoff win last week. Last week, that was their first playoff win in over 20 years. So it's been a long time since Rock Hill's been good, and Leon Boulware has done a really good job this year in their first year. They're really good defensively. I think this game could be close tonight. I know a lot of people across the upstate expect a blowout and Burns to roll them. I just don't know that that's the case. Now, could it happen? Sure, it could happen, Diesel, but ultimately, I believe that that Rock Hill's going to come into this game ready to play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Burns wins tonight in my mind, but I think this one could be closer than most people are predicting.
JB on the stream says he's going to be in the house with you as well.
Let's go.
At the Burns game. Obviously,
come up and wave at me.
Because he's got the Rebels logo as his little avatar. How many of the other Tolos are going to be going to the Burns game tonight as they're hosting Blythewood? Text in, would you? And 844-FAN phone.
Real quick on that, Diesel, real quick. Any Burns fans listening, I've said it a lot this week, but want to say it again just so you don't forget. If you have friends and family that normally listen from out of state, tonight's game will not be on the Fan Upstate. It'll be on our sister station, News Talk 98.9 WORD. So please help us spread the word. I posted it on our socials, but Furman basketball will air on the Fan Upstate tonight. We'll be across the airwaves on 98.9.
Next up, just up the road, maybe about 45 minutes away from where you are, Blythewood at Dorman.
Blythewood had a big win in the first round, Diesel over Clover. I believe that was a 10 over a 7, so it was an upset. Blythewood with an impressive win in my mind over Perry Woolbright's squad up at Clover. But this is not going to end well for Blythewood. It's not. I think Dorman wins tonight, and I think Dorman wins big. I just believe Blythewood will be outmatched at just about every position on the field, and maybe a kicker. Maybe they have a good kicker, but I could see Dorman winning and winning comfortably, giving the Cavaliers to roll tonight.
All right, here's one that you and Alex Guest disagree on. Spartanburg at Ridgeview.
I have no idea. And I say that because Ridgeview's a really quality opponent. However, they're on their third-string quarterback. Spartanburg, Trey Burke, having Lynch in the backfield's a big, big deal. He's back. He came back last week. Diesel, I'm picking Spartanburg, I believe. I think. I mean, it does say Spartanburg for me, right, on the sheet?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I'll stick with it, man. Ultimately, I'm just so high on Trenton Lynch. I think he's one of the best backs in the state, and I believe Diesel at the high school level, one really good player can make a big difference. And with that being said, I'm going to go Vikings to get it done on the road tonight.
Interesting. Gaffney is on the road at Greenwood, two longtime powerhouse programs.
Yeah, they are. And I'll tell you this. Here's another one. I've gone back and forth all week on this one, Diesel, all week long, and I've changed my pick on this one 3 times just today. I've been Gaffney all week. I like their defense. I like what Peanut Bailey does on the defense. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the state. I think they have one of the better defensive staffs in the state with what they have back there with Ian Cooper as the DC and Randy Birch and those guys. However, I did change my pick today. I am going Greenwood. I'm going to take Greenwood. Tristan Lewis, man, I've gotten to see him play one time this year in person. The Gamecock commit at quarterback, Diesel. He is sensational. Excuse me. He is just so sensational to watch. I think this one's going to be close. I could see it going either way, but I have to pick one, and I'm going to go with the Eagles tonight to fly high and soar on in the third round.
How about that? How about Greenville on the road at TL Hanna?
Man, I'll tell you what, this second round, it's loaded with a plethora of good matchups tonight. This is just a rematch, Diesel, from 2 weeks ago. A 2 week ago rematch where Cade Morrell of TL Hanna runs back the kick at the very end of the game to win the game. Greenville had that game won. TL Hanna's a very good football team. TL Hanna, Diesel, listen to this, has not lost a football game since week 0, the 3rd week of August, at this very field. Wow. When they lost to the Burns Rebels 30-10. They haven't lost since. They're a good team, but I think they do lose tonight. It's hard to beat a team twice. I'm going to go with Scoot Watson and the Greenville Red Raiders to get it done tonight.
How about it? I know that program was rolling a couple of years ago, took a little dip, but they're back on top. How about Hillcrest on the road at Indian Land?
Oh, my gosh. I'll tell you this. This was one, Diesel, where I picked Hillcrest from the very get-go. However, if you're looking at the spreadsheet, my pick does not say Hillcrest. Hillcrest is a very, very good football team. I love what Bennett Swaggart's done. I love their offense, what Jackson Free can do at quarterback, a very unselfish quarterback. I think he spreads the ball incredibly well. And I haven't picked against Hillcrest many times this year. I think the only time I picked against them was when they played Hanna and ended up losing that game. Diesel, I changed my pick today to Indian Land. I don't know if Hillcrest gets down in this game tonight. If Indian Land jumps on them at home, goes up a score or two, I don't know if Hillcrest defensively has the wherewithal to rebound and come back. Give me Indian Land in a win tonight.
Well, I hope the entire team is listening right now so they can use it as bulletin board motivational material.
Hope I'm wrong, by the way.
Let's go Emerald at South Point.
Could be a good one. Emerald's a good football team, man. They had a big win over Fountain Inn last week. Emerald's a solid football team, but South Point's not a solid football team. They're a very good football team with Currents and those guys that they have at South Point, also a Gamecock guy. I believe South Point wins tonight by a couple of scores, Diesel.
Okay. How about Seneca hosting AC Flora?
I'll go I'll go Seneca tonight. They've been really good offensively. Could AC Flora keep it close? I think so. But give me Seneca and that high-powered, potent offense in 2025. They've been tough to stop, and I don't know that AC Flora has an answer for them tonight.
Camden coming up this way, taking on Daniel.
This one is one of the toughest games to pick. Of all the games out there tonight, Diesel, Camden Daniel. I went back and forth. Daniel did not look good last week. Camden has been uber successful in the postseason in the last 6 to 8 years. I could see this one playing out either way. I initially picked Daniel, but I just was not impressed with how they played last week in that first round. Give me Camden. Give me the Bulldogs tonight to get it done.
Okay. Another local matchup here. Wren at Westside.
Another rematch from just a few weeks ago, man. Wren Westside, this was the night before Halloween. You know, a few of those games got moved to Thursday night, Diesel. Alex Guest and I went to this game. With Brown out at running back, Wren's a different ball club. They really are. We saw that on Halloween, or the night before Halloween, that Thursday night. I just find Westside to be the hotter team right now. They're playing with a little bit of confidence that I don't know that Wren is playing with. I think this could be an extremely entertaining football game. But here's why I'm going to change my pick to Westside. I picked Wren all week long, but Westside has the experience. Some of those guys, those coaches on that staff have been in big games. They've won state championships and played for championships in recent years. Give me the Rams to roll tonight.
All right, next one, you got Pendleton at Powdersville.
Could be a good game. The Bulldogs are a tough out every year, but Powdersville's they're more than a tough out. Robert Moster's done an incredible job this year, man. They're the number 1 seed in 3A. Give me Powdersville to get it done tonight. I think I've just been so impressed with Robert Moster's job. I mean, he's been the only coach over there, and they've just been so steady Eddie, so consistent. I like Robert Moster-led teams a lot. I think Powdersville gets it done tonight.
Next up, the juggernaut that is MVP at Crescent.
You know, MVP didn't play well last week. It was a 1-point victory over St. Joe's, and Crescent's not a bad little football team. If you told me Mountain View Prep Diesel played the way they did last week, I'd pick Crescent, but I don't believe Mountain View Prep's going to play as poorly as they did last week. I think they play better tonight. I think they go on the road and get a win over a solid Crescent football team.
Christchurch is on the road at Woodruff. What do you think?
Man, it's going to be tough for Christchurch. Diesel. Woodruff's just one of the best teams in 3A, point blank, period. They're that good. They're legit. Maybe the best team in 3A in the Woodruff Wolverines. So I love Christchurch. Love Quinn Hatfield. He's a good guy, good coach, and man, he's a class act. But I think what they're toying with tonight, I think they're going to be playing with fire. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult to go to Woodruff and get a win. I don't think they do. Give me the Wolverines comfortably tonight.
Next up, Southside Christian on the road at BHP.
Southside Christian, man, what an incredible story. I mean, you look across the upstate 2025 Diesel, what an incredible story Southside Christian had in 2025. Region champs, first-year head. I mean, they were so good this year, man. Going to BHP in the second round of the playoffs is extremely difficult. Belton Honeypath is legit, and I mean with a capital legit. They're really, really good. Russell Blackston is just an incredible football coach. We saw Marquise Henderson leave the program last year, Diesel, who went to Clemson for a short time. They didn't drop off. They just got better. BHP looks unbeatable. So I believe BHP gets the win tonight.
Next up, Saluda at Clinton.
Saluta's they're a good football team. They are. I like what Saluta's done, but Clinton's not. They're not good. They're great. Clinton, state champion from a season ago. Corey Fenton's going to have those guys ready tonight, Diesel, at home. It's going to be tough sledding for those guys. Give me Clinton at home to get it done tonight.
2 more to go. Liberty at Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond is going to win this game in my mind. Liberty's a good little football team, but Strom Thurmond is just better, I think, at every position. Strom Thurmond advances to the third round.
And last up, Louisville at Abbeville.
Louisville's had a good year, but all roads come to an end, and a lot of roads come to an end in Abbeville, South Carolina, and that's where their road will come to an end tonight because Jamie Nichols and Abbeville is just a different beast. Abbeville wins tonight, and they're a 2-loss team on the season, but they're starting to hit that groove. This time of year, good teams become great right about now, and I think you better watch out. I think Abbeville's poised to make another run.
I love it, Cole. You and Alex agreed on all but 3 of these.
Yeah.
If you would call for an upset tonight, what are you calling for?
That's a great question.
That's a big question to throw back after over all those games.
No. I'm hesitant because I've got to whisper it. I'm hesitant because I have to look around to make sure nobody
signs your paychecks as.
Well, I'll just say this. If you force me to make an upset, I was having this conversation with somebody earlier today. If you told me tonight there was going to be an upset, I think it could happen right here where I'm standing. I think what Rock Hill's done under first-year head coach Leon Boulware has been quite impressive, man. And could Burns be overlooking Rock Hill to a potential matchup next Friday night at Dutch Ford? Maybe so. I hope the Burns fans that are listening don't throw stones at me in the press box tonight. But if I have to answer your question, Diesel, I think if I had to find an upset, I hope not, but I think there could be an upset right here tonight.
Well, there you go. Those are Cole's high school picks for round 2 of the playoffs. We're going to try to squeeze our daily wires in next. We have a ton of them to get to. We'll get to maybe some of them, split it up, do half now, half later next, right here on the Fan Upstate. An absolutely loaded sports day. We've been talking about Clemson and South Carolina, Burns as well. But there's a lot going on out there. We get to it all in our Daily Wires. The buzz happening around the sports world. ESPN is ordering several on-air talents, including Dan Orlovsky, Kendrick Perkins, Mina Kimes, Laura Rutledge, and Stephen A. Smith to cut ties with Papaya Gaming. Have you ever heard of Papaya Gaming?
No, I thought that was a fruit.
It is a fruit, but it's also a gaming company.
No.
It is a controversial gambling company. Stephen A. Smith was the primary star of their ad campaign promoting some kind of solitaire game.
No.
Hashtag Beat Steven Challenge. But a federal lawsuit accuses the company of falsely marketing games of skill and employing tailored bots to control the outcomes of tournaments.
I have not heard of that. I really haven't. So that is interesting.
So another gambling scandal. Who's surprised?
Yeah.
Four-star point guard Marcus Johnson, ranked number 35 nationally in Ohio Mr. Basketball, has committed to the University of South Carolina and Lamont Paris. He did that yesterday. He selected the Gamecocks over Ohio State and several other finalists. So congratulations to Lamont for landing a good one. John Beam, the current AD and former head coach of the Laney Eagles football team in Oakland, California, who you might remember from the 2020 season of Last Chance U, was shot on campus around noon yesterday. He was taken to the hospital. I've been looking around to find any information on his condition. It's still unknown. The search continues for the gunman as far as we know, and no motive is yet known.
That's just awful news, man. It is, and hopefully he can pull through. That's terrible to hear.
Pete Thamel of ESPN is reporting that Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris is progressing towards returning to play tomorrow against Duke after sustaining a concussion in the second quarter of last week's Wake Forest game. It's expected to be a game-time decision.
Interesting.
The College Football Playoff Management Committee has formally approved the return of Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan to its selection committee, and they named current committee member and Arkansas Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek as its new chair. The move comes after Baylor AD and selection committee chair Mack Rhodes took a leave of absence for his job for personal reasons amid a university investigation. Last night in the Sun Belt, Old Dominion absolutely jumped all over Troy, blanking them 33-0. The Monarchs are now 7-3 on the season.
Glad I didn't pick that one for the Upset Picks Challenge, right?
My wife did. We were watching it in the restaurant last night.
She did?
She was real mad. She was big mad.
Oh, so FU Ashley didn't hit again for the 19th time, right?
No, she did not. Drake May in the NFL last night. Drake May went 25 of 34 for 281 and a touchdown in a 27-14 win over the Jets. Patriots now 9-2, and Pats wide receiver Stephon Diggs topped 100 yards for the third time this season.
Big night.
Mm-hmm.
They look the Pats look legit, man. They look like a legitimate contender.
Top 10 matchup in men's college basketball last night. Number 2 Purdue beat number 8 Alabama 87-80 on the road in Tuscaloosa.
I tell you what, that was an interesting basketball game. I'll tell you this: Purdue look really, really good. I enjoyed that one. Alabama's good, Nate Oates is one of the best there is, but that was a heck of a basketball game.
The 11-5 Carolina Hurricanes going to host the Vancouver Canucks tonight at 7:00. If you're interested in hockey, Kai Trump, the granddaughter of President Donald Trump, made her LPGA Tour debut at the Anika at Pelican Golf Club in Florida. It didn't go well for her, though. Despite being a talented golfer, she struggled and finished last.
Sounds like me out there.
NHRA, yeah, I could finish last with the best of them, Cole. NHRA legend John Force has officially announced his retirement at the age of 76. He had 16 championships and had 157 wins.
Wow.
Cristiano Ronaldo faces criticism from fans after receiving a red card in a World Cup qualifier match between Ireland and Portugal. The incident occurred when Ronaldo made a crybaby gesture after committing a foul on an Irish defender, leading to his red card. Portugal ultimately lost the game 2-0. And lastly, Cole, here's the big news of the day. 14 people have been charged for their roles in a multi-million-dollar illegal sports betting ring that involved college athletes and had links to organized crime. According to New Jersey authorities, Joseph Little Joe Perna, a member of the Lucchese crime family, and his associates ran a nationwide network of bookmakers who used offshore websites to facilitate about $2 million in bets between 2022 and 2024. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin said several college athletes operated sports books at the direction of Perna's organization. Platkin didn't answer questions regarding which colleges or sports or athletes were involved in the betting ring, but the NCAA is aware of the charges and is looking into the case. So 55-year-old Little Joe Perna is charged with his sons, stepson, nephews, and others with racketeering, conspiracy, gambling offenses, and money laundering.
Tolo's the Upset Picks Challenge. If you've been under a rock, it's open. It's been open for almost an hour now. We need your upset picks at 844-326-3663. But we've got to go to the phone lines in the very next segment where we bring on Smitty. Every Friday you hear him on these airwaves. Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network next on the Fan Upstate. Well, the Burns Rebels are looking for their 8th win of the season tonight. Rock Hill making their way into town here in just a few hours from now. Want to remind all of you Tolos out there, want to remind all of the Burns Rebels fans, maybe you just got off of work on this Friday and you're tuning in for the very first time today or this week, a very big and important programming announcement. Tonight, Burns football will not air on these airwaves on the Fan Upstate. Typically, obviously, you hear Burns football all season long on the Fan Upstate, but tonight, due to Furman basketball being on at the same time as Burns, Furman basketball and Dan Scott will air on the Fan Upstate. You can find Burns football tonight on our sister station, News Talk 98.9 WORD. It's 98.9 FM. In just about every area of the upstate, Carolinas, parts of Georgia as well. You can still listen on the free Odyssey app by searching 98.9 WORD, and also on the free iHeartRadio app. Search the exact same thing there, News Talk 98.9 WORD or 98.9 Word for short. You can also ask your Alexa to play 98.9 WORD. So a very important programming note for tonight's Burns football game. Please make sure you tell your friends and family that may be listening tonight as well to let them know. But let's go to the phone lines where we bring in Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network, very good friend of the show. He joins us every Friday at this time, and we love talking Clemson and South Carolina and whatever else happens with Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network. And Smitty, with Clemson in action tonight, man, let's start right there with those Clemson Tigers on the road at Louisville. To start the show today, we were talking about the point spread and maybe Clemson pulling an upset, or maybe even the possibility of Clemson finding the blowout gear. I don't know if that happens, but with us a few hours away from kickoff between Louisville and Clemson, what is your early inclination, your gut, your early lean on this one?
Well, as you know, I follow the sharp money. By the way, I'm up here. I'm covering the game in person in Louisville, and the sharp money is heading for Clemson for a few different reasons. Now, yes, I'm excited about being here in person in the game, but my drive, oh boy, just a warning to everybody, stay in South Carolina. This trip to the Smoky Mountains really cramping my Jimmy Buffett lifestyle, where I was in traffic, Sevierville, Tennessee, for about an hour today. It's decidedly not Margaritaville. It is just one lane through the mountains. I know we've all made that trip, falling rocks, no cell service, etc. But I'm here now. And as I said, the smart money running toward Clemson in this one. And I think it has a little bit to do with it's anti-Louisville money as well, because this is a team that's at 7-2. I think there's some people that think that's a fraudulent 7-2, and I certainly don't want to be too hard on them, but some of their schedule has been cake, and they've not had good quarterback play. But besides the fact that their coach is considered a quarterback whisperer, but they have not had good quarterback play from their Southern Cal transfer. They have run the ball really well, but as I said, it's a pretty soft schedule, and I think the assumption is maybe Clemson found something last week, although I think anyone that watched that game, as I'm sure you did and I did, knows that Florida State left a lot of yards out there. At least 5 drops passes in the first half that would have changed the complexion of the game, that would have shifted the momentum in Florida State's favor. But hey, what did Clemson do? They didn't screw up. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot the way that Florida State did. So they absolutely deserve to win that game. But what we have to then ascertain is, does that mean anything moving forward? I think the line is probably about right. I don't know what it is currently. I was in the car, but it was
1.5.
2.5. Oh, Devin, 1.5. Yeah, money's running toward Clemson. Absolutely. So I don't know. I think it's about right. I've got it as a coin flip game. I have throughout, because who's the better team on paper? Well, Clemson is. But do I trust Clemson in all 3 phases? I do not.
Interesting. Smitty, all Jimmy Buffett, no John Denver. Welcome into the show, Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network. I asked Chapel Fowler of the state newspaper earlier this week how much, if at all, he felt like the disappointing 3-year stint for Garrett Riley at Clemson has slowed down what we all thought was probably a track for a head coaching job at a Power 4 school. He suggested that now it looks like if Garrett Riley wants to be a head coach, especially in the immediate future, he's going to have to go the G5 route and really show something at that level before becoming a Power 4 head coach. Do you agree with that sentiment? Do you think, especially in this landscape where all the top candidates are saying, no, thank you, we're not interested in leaving our institutions, do you think Garrett is still possibly a Power 4 head coach candidate or likely hire, or is he having to go the G5 route if that's what he wants to do?
Well, good question, because now they're just looking for warm bodies, right?
Yeah.
Even at the Power 4. And that's what, look, I mean, there's a fine line between being a coordinator that everyone wants fired at your current school versus being the hot name out there. I mean, you can be the way the college football landscape is laid out right now, you're a 3-game streak, positive or negative, away from either being the next coach at Florida or on the breadline. And that's just how fast things are moving here. And now Garrett Riley, last 2 weeks, they put up points against Duke and lost. They put up 24 points, but did what they had to do offensively and picked up a win. Now, as far as his reputation and whether people believe in him or not, I think this question has to be asked about Garrett Riley. And I'm not answering this question. I don't know. So I come at this from a place of, hey, if this is the job of ADs and head coaches currently, they have to understand. But he's worked with a lot of other good offensive minds when he's had success. If memory serves, did he not come from TCU with Sonny Dice? Mm-hmm. And he's probably working with his brother at some point. I don't know I know Lincoln went to ECU. I can't recall if Garrett did when they were doing so well offensively. But you just have to ask the question: how much of this is Garrett Riley when he's play calling, and how much of the positivity around his name has to do with things, the way they went at TCU, the fact that his last name's Riley. I really don't know the answer to that question. So people might hear that and say, "Oh, Smith bagging on Garrett Riley." I'm not. I don't know what went wrong with football. Frankly, I don't know. They didn't run the football the way they should, but I don't know that Garrett Riley was going to stick with it if they did, because I've seen games where the running game was working and he abandoned it. So I don't know if that's his thing. But as far as his next job, I don't know. I think I told you a couple weeks ago, and by the way, I was wrong about Schuler. You called it, Cole. So I'll give you credit right here in front of your audience. You nailed it. You said he won't make it. It doesn't matter what he does. He won't make it. Now, Garrett Riley, on the other hand, what if they finish strong? What if they go on a roll, finish 7-5? 75 is not what Clemson needs to do, but where do you point the finger if they go 75? Things went wrong. Is it Tom Allen? Is it Garrett Riley? Is it assistant coaches and player development? Is it Dabo Swinney in the transfer portal, Dabo Swinney in recruiting? I don't have the answer to all those things. I think we've got to let it play out. But where's Garrett Riley's next job? That's a 5-minute answer to, and here's the 30-second answer. I think this carousel is spinning at such a rapid rate that we've got to wait to see where it all shakes out, how everybody performs over 3-week stretches. By the way, it's no way to run a program. That is not what I would advise, because good coaches are the right fit for you, whether or not they're on a 3-game losing streak or a 3-game winning streak. But that's not how AD, boosters, fans are acting right now. They're all like toddlers, and they want it immediately. The moment somebody has a 3-game losing streak, he's fired. The moment somebody has a 3-game winning streak, he's the next great hot Bill Walsh offensive mind. That's wrong. That's incorrect. That's where we are.
Smitty, you mentioned it when talking about this game tonight between Clemson and Louisville. It has not gone. The Miller-Moss experiment has not gone as planned. And, yeah, you're right. Jeff Brom's this quarterback guy, this offensive-minded guy. And I like Jeff Brom a lot, man. I respect the heck out of him. And I think he's a good football coach. But we've seen transfer portal quarterbacks this year work. Unfortunately, Miller-Moss in that situation, they're not lighting it up. In your mind, what's gone wrong for Miller Moss and the situation that he's in now that's not panning out the way some thought it would?
I don't know, because maybe he's not good. Because I remember saying this about Jake DeLone, and that's a real throwback for you guys. But what do they always say? Quarterback's best friend is. We only get two answers to that question. Quarterback's best friend is either defense or a running game.
Yeah.
Moss has had both. Louisville runs football at a great clip. Louisville's defense has been a top 25 defense statistically this season. So, and I believe the word from South is that both of his wide receivers, his top two receivers, have chances to play at the next level. So, and this is your head coach, Jeff Blunt, who has a history of developing quarterbacks. So this is on you, man. This is on you. And I don't know what's wrong, and he's only got 7 touchdown passes. Maybe a bit of this, and I will see with my own eyes tonight in person. Maybe a bit of this is Louisville sees where their strengths are, and the formula has been, hey, we're going to win this with running game and defense right now until we get this passing edge straightened out. And it can happen. It can happen in a flash. Maybe Moss had a good night, because God knows, first secondary's made a lot of quarterbacks reflect stars. So maybe tonight is the breakout for Miller Moss. But as far as what has gone wrong, it absolutely has to be on him right now, because he's had all the ingredients in place for him to succeed at Louisville, including a pretty good schedule, defensive playing well, talented at wide receiver, running game, coach with a good reputation for being quarterback friendly, and you've got 7 touchdown passes through 9 games. So it's on him. We'll see if he changes that narrative tonight.
Talking to Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network. I'm going to ask you this question, Matt, from basically 3 different perspectives. So I'll let you run for about 15 minutes on this one. Lenora Sellers coming back for another season. The question is, if you're Lenoris, would you trust Shane Beamer to get it right with another coordinator hire and maybe help you improve your draft stock? If you're Lenoris, kind of where do you need to be in that draft prospect, or do you think there's a high enough draft prospectus on him to get him to come out and go to the NFL? And, kind of what would you do if you were Lenoris?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's just easy for me to say, right, because it's not my money. It's not my money. But I will say this is that situation. Lenore Sellers, I think, as far as a draftable prospect, I think that NFL scouts really like him because of just everything about it. We don't have to go into that. You understand what Lenore Sellers brings to the table, raw material. And they like that. And they think, well, hey, when we get him, we'll tune that up. And we know exactly what to do with somebody with this kind of ability. And it is intelligent. All right. But having said that, boy, could anybody in college football benefit more from another 12 games in college more than Lenore Sellers? He sees it. In order to have the best NFL career possible, I would love, as just selfishly, as someone that likes football, see him stay to play more college football. So all the things that we see him do, and we say, oh, that will improve, that needs to improve, that can get better. Well, he shouldn't have to work on that at the next level. Work on it now. Work on it at this level. I think he can benefit so much from coming back and playing collegiate. But again, not my money, not my life. So that's easy for me to say, right? Had the Dodgers drafted me in the 58th round, then I would have see you. I'm gone. I would have gone. And but so you can't take some money away from somebody else. But then again, with NIL, I think there's enough. Now, do you trust Shane Beamer? So what you're asking there is there a potential that Lenore Sellers, after he eschewed the transfer portal last year, despite all the suitors and the money that we know was thrown at him, does he go for it this time? Does he head to Oregon, take the money, go to one of these contenders that needs a quarterback? I don't know. I hope not. He's playing in his home state, very popular here. He is well loved. You're pulling it at a lot of different strings here, because anybody that plays collegiate sports also knows this to be true. And as great as it is to play in college, you only get the one chance to do it. Jones won't regret. I think that's part of the reason why the transfer portal has been flooded as much as it is. A lot of people say, people give up and they go to jump around and do all these things. Well, yes and no. But if you're playing in Florida Atlantic and all of a sudden you got a chance to play with the Miami Hurricanes, well, that's probably what you dreamed about as a kid. You didn't dream about playing in Florida Atlantic. So everybody said, well, you need to be loyal to your team, loyal to your teammates, loyal to the coach and recruiters. All of that is true and all of that is noble. But when you lay in bed at night, all these kids think about winning championships too, being in big games. And I know it hasn't been easy for Lenore Stellars this year because for the most part, even though he's played big game opponents, he weren't paying attention. He was in and out of the Heisman conversation in about 2 weeks. So I don't know what's going to happen. Does he trust Shane Beamer to make the right call? I don't know. Let's keep this in mind. This would be Shane Beamer's fourth coordinator. It would be Lenore Stellars' third coordinator in the state of South Carolina.
Well,
that's a lot to sell on someone.
Here's something fascinating for you here, Smitty. Despite the fact that the season has not gone well for Lenoris in South Carolina, he is still, at the moment, looking at NFLDraftBuzz.com, the third highest-ranked quarterback prospect after Ty Simpson and Dante Moore, ahead of Fernando Mendoza, ahead of Garrett Nussmeier, ahead of John Mateer and Arch Manning as well. You know, there seems to be, a weird kind of pocket for quarterbacks that you don't want to be the first or second best quarterback because then you're going to go to a terrible franchise. But if you're the third or fourth best quarterback, there's a good chance you go late in the first round to a pretty decent team. So you're walking into a better situation.
Absolutely. And the record books are kind of full of this. I'm trying to remember. I think Drew Brees landed with the Chargers at the top of the second round or the back end of the first. He might have gone the same year LaDainian Tomlinson did. And, just worked out that his next stop was obviously New Orleans, which turned out to be the perfect fit for him. But, yeah, that can happen. That can happen. And then you have the other stories. You're Peyton Manning, and everybody wants to say after 20 interceptions in your rookie year on a bad club, that you're overblown, overrated. It took him time to build his reputation up. And the Colts time to build that franchise around him. You're absolutely right about that. If Lenore Stellars were to go this year, he would be taken probably in that middle, the back end of the first round. Maybe he doesn't even have to start as a rookie. Maybe that expectation is not on him and then gets to sit for a little while. But yes, having said all that, I just think he needs to play. I think Lenore Stellars needs good coaching and needs to play. And look, I know Gamecock fans are screaming at the radio. They want it to be with them. They want it to be in Columbia. We just have to wait to see. By the way, same thing. I was talking about Garrett Riley earlier. How do these last three games go? Does Lenore Stellars have a giant game against Texas A&M, win or lose? Does he play great? Does it all click for him? Now that Shula is out of the way, maybe there's something going on. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. They get clicked. And I'm not even saying that's a personality thing. They just, whatever Mike Shula was trying to explain to Lenore Stellars, it wasn't working. He didn't look like himself. Well, that's gone. That's off his shoulders. He's between his ears now. I suspect that one of the things they're going to do is they're going to run Lenore Stellars, and that might free him up a little bit to be more himself. Could have a big game here, could have a big game against Coastal, big game against Princeton. We'll have to wait and see.
Smitty, I am going to put you into a tough position here. Pretend that you are on your preferred news network. It's election night, and you are breaking down the path to victory as we see happen on election nights, where you have the pointer, the highlighter, and you're pointing to states and cities, and you're prognosticating which cities are going to turn blue or turn red. I want you to find, because I tried to do this in the first segment of the show, and it was pretty tough, I want you to find a path to victory for the Gamecocks on Saturday.
Yeah, that is tough. And if you think of what that election map would look like, if you look, well, this one's going maroon, this state's going garnet. Hope you can see that at home. But, I know what you're getting at. Now, look, the positive for South Carolina is they are coming off of a bye.
Sure.
And I think the clouds have probably been lifted. We've actually seen a lot of teams perform well the week after a head coach or coordinator has been fired. So you got some of those positive vibes. Yeah. However, what you're talking about, going on the road playing the number 3 team in the country. Okay, Sellers does have to play well, period. He's not going to go out there and go 10 or 22. You can take him. That's not happening. He has to have a great game. Offensive line has to shake off whatever their problems have been. They have to play their best game of the year, not a good game. The best game they have played all season long. No coaching gaffes. Coach Beamer, ill-advised fake punt, ended up an interception against Oklahoma. The 2-point conversion that really stole the momentum from them in the loss against Alabama. Can't have that. Can't have that, period. Can't have any coaching gaps. You have to coach almost a perfect football game. You have to win the turnover battle. Same thing, the loss against Alabama, the game against LSU. Now you have to win the turnover battle. Not even, you have to win it. And how about this as an X factor? Path to victory. You're on the road against a team that right now is penciled in getting a bye in the college football playoff. I know everyone tells you that the officials never care about the names on the front of the jersey. They don't care about which state in there. They don't care about any of that. Okay. Do you really think South Carolina is going to College Station, Texas, and getting the call? The best they can hope for, the absolute best they can hope for, is that critical calls are even in this game. That's what they have to hope for. So that is a treasure map in 10 paces here, then under the tree, then dig a hole, then go under it, then jump over the fence. It is a very difficult map to follow for South Carolina to pull the upset against Texas A&M. I'll tell you this, though. They beat A&M by 24 points last year at Williams-Brice. If this game were at Williams-Brice, I'd really give them a punch to the chin. But it's not. It's on the road, and I just don't know if this team is I expect them to keep it within the number. I think they'll play hard. I think they'll play well. I think Shula not being there is an advantage. I think that's a positive for them. But to beat A&M on the road is a really tall task to ask of any team, let alone a team that right now in South Carolina that hasn't played its best football through 9 games.
Smitty, I don't know if you ever witnessed in person or how many times you witnessed it in person. Your general thoughts on just how weird and cringy A&M's yell practice is, a midnight yell.
I love it. Yeah, only on film. I've never been out there.
Oh, no? I saw it when they played at Clemson a few years ago. I saw it. They held it at Hillcrest High School.
No. Hey, here's what I do love. I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm going to
Go
say
ahead.
this.
You can say it.
I love college football tradition. I just love everything about it. The good ones, the bad ones, the ones that seem silly, the ones that don't make any sense anymore. I love college football tradition. And I really do like that Texas A&M is a part of the SEC. Now, by the way, not crazy about Louisville being a part of the ACC as I'm here tonight. And I like Louisville. Hey, I like horse racing, for 3 minutes a year when the Derby runs. Great people, beautiful place. It just doesn't feel like ACC country. I'm almost in Indiana tonight. It just doesn't feel like ACC country to me. But anyway, big game tonight. But I'm glad A&M. I thought that was one of the things that has happened, one of the moves that actually worked. I kind of like A&M again.
Smitty, before we get your upset pick, how do you see both playing out? Clemson tonight versus Louisville, and then South Carolina, a big test tomorrow against A&M.
I'd say coin flip game. I might pick Clemson. I've been really going back and forth on that one because, if you've seen as much Clemson as I have this year, many of them in person, and then every game, obviously, either on TV or in person.
Sure.
But you have so many holes in their game. You just see how many ways this can go sideways for Clemson, especially on the road, prime time environment. But I always come back to this. They're just a better team on paper, and that has to mean something sometimes too. So I don't know. I think I've gone back and forth all year. I was really trashing Clemson, in this segment last week when they went out and played well. I hope I don't jinx them, but I'm a coin flip game. I think it's going to be tight because I do like Louisville's defense. I do like that Louisville can run the ball, but you hit on it when you asked me about Moss earlier. I just think Klubnik, even Klubnik this year has just been okay. Just when they're actually out there hitting. I think I like Clemson's guys more than Louisville's guys. So I'm going to take Clemson in a field goal game on the road. Oh, and South Carolina. I said I think they keep it within the number. I think I just think it's one of those seasons for South Carolina. They're going to tease their fans again. I think this is going to be a game. They come out and do a lot of good things. Obviously, Dylan Stewart, knocking the ball out of Marcel Reed's hand, sort of setting his team up with short field position. I could see them, turning the football over against A&M, quieting the crowd. But something's wrong with South Carolina this year. They aren't getting it done. They should have beat them. Those games, that game by 2 scores, you watched them play back and forth. They could have won that game. Alabama, they should have won. They should have beat Alabama without question. Now here they are. This long, difficult stretch of games. I just don't think for some reason this team doesn't do the little things that are necessary to win. All the things that coaches talk about. We're going to win field position. We're going to win the turnover battle. We're going to stay like this. We're not going to commit penalties. All the things that coaches say right before a team takes the field. Those are all the things South Carolina has done. So I think they play well, they play hard, but they keep the fans again, all the Gamecock fans that have suffered through this season. I'm afraid they're going to suffer again. It's going to be like a 10-point loss, and it'll be a bunch of what ifs we're talking about on Sunday.
So, Smitty, who you got as your upset pick?
Well, I'm really disappointed in myself last week. If you recall, I took Missouri because I thought A&M was right. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe A&M is just better than I thought they were because they pushed Mizzou around at Missouri. I looked at the board this week just quickly, and I didn't like anything. So I'm gonna go way off the mark. By the way, what's the popular pick?
The most popular has been Virginia over Duke.
Let's go.
Because it seems as if Virginia is going to get their quarterback after taking a little knock on the noggin against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that's a really tight game.
That's my pick, Smitty.
I can see it. But here, we always want to give them something different. I'm never going to take the most popular pick. So I got that. You got that one. All right, so here's one.
Oh, here we go.
Hold your nose. Hold your nose. This is gross. I'm getting nauseated thinking about it. I'm going to take North Carolina over Wake. Wake is throwing a party because they are bowl eligible. I think they are overlooking North Carolina. Why? Because they set offensive football back 25 years. Sure they have. But they know they can punt to win. So, and it's no home field advantage. I love Wake Forest. There's absolutely no home field advantage in this.
Smitty, I told
plus 6.5, by the way, for North Carolina.
I told you. Hey, let me tell you real quick, Smitty. I told you when Clemson played SMU. I told you on these airwaves that you made a mistake not taking the same pick I did. Now, I can't say that loud because I've been bad at this thing, but I'm going to say it again. You're making a mistake. Virginia will win tomorrow, and you will regret not getting those points.
Go fighting Tony Elliott. I hope so. I hope Virginia does it. But I'm just saying, it's good to be different, too. There's more to talk about. I'm going to take North Carolina.
Okay.
Beating Wake Forest 8-6, like 2 field goals and a safety on a block punt.
Man, you're putting a lot of trust in Robbie Ashford, I'm telling you.
Oh, God. You're right. Ashford will get it. Ashford will get 6-0. North Carolina.
Smitty, you're the best. We appreciate you as always.
All right. I'll check in next week, guys.
See you, man.
Love it. Man, next week, think about this, Cole. We're going to get to talk about the possibility of Coastal upsetting South Carolina. Imagine if South Carolina loses
No, we're not
going
to talk about that.
Hey. I didn't want to jump the gun with Smitty. We could have talked for an hour about that game, I know.
That's
but
not
if
happening,
South
right?
Carolina loses tomorrow, they're not going to a bowl game. They might be discouraged. Coastal's on a run right now, dude. They are putting up 45 points on everybody since they made this quarterback switch. I mean, are you trusting South Carolina and Lenora Sellers with no bowl on the line
Diesel
to score 45 points on Coastal?
If South Carolina lost to Coastal Carolina on their home turf, Jeremiah Donati should walk down from his presidential suite that he sits in with the president, where the shrimp cocktails are flowing with I'm sure the booze, right? And he should walk down, take the steps, not the elevator, walk out onto that grass field and fire Shane Beamer on the spot if that were to happen. Man. There's no way that happens next week, right?
We'll see.
Right?
We'll see. It could be an interesting game. The Chanticleer's pretty good.
We'll see.
All right, let's get off the break, Cole. When we come back, it's going to be a little bit of a shortened segment, but we need our Tolos participation. I want all of you to come up with at least one of these. Tell me something that just doesn't make sense about your school's athletic department. Wide-ranging, wide-open question, but something that just doesn't make sense about your school's athletic department. We'll get into it next on the Fan Up Station.
Sports takes at the door. Call in if you're man enough.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
You know, it's funny, Cole. Of course, the team on the field right outside of the window stops making all those great sounds, you know, those warm-up sounds right as we come back on the air, because that is like music to our ears, isn't it? To hear players getting hyped, getting ready for a game.
You've got the band on the upper field, which I think you can hear a little bit. I'm boosting the crowd mic, and then Burns is going through their team walkthrough right now. And I tell you what, man, I love high school football. It's my favorite thing in the world, and it's hard to beat Friday Night Lights in the playoffs. In South Carolina, it doesn't get much bigger than this.
Tolos, get us your upset picks, 844 fan phone. I need your name, your game, and your spread. Let's see. Texter gets in with, Pushkin wants Air Force plus 7.5 over UConn. That's a fascinating one. I think he might be the only one who has taken that game. Appreciate you, Pushkin. Gus Mosley is going Mississippi State over Missouri plus 6.5, or Mississippi State plus 6.5 over Missouri. That's the format that we need. Your name, your game, and the spread. And as Dan said in the stream earlier, it looks like a lot of Tolos are going to get a -2 for not making a pick, because the total number of picks that we have, Cole, a little shy of where we need to be.
Did you see Matt Kraft's response to that? Oh, he can lose points? I hope he was kidding. I hope he was. I mean,
it's better to be a smartass than a dumbass, right?
I guess so. I just don't know if he was – I really don't know if he was being serious or not.
So, Tolos, little food for thought discussion topic here on a Friday afternoon, as Clemson is going to be facing Louisville later tonight, South Carolina on the road at A&M tomorrow. Give me something that just leaves you scratching your head about your team's athletic department, something that you just don't understand no matter what, Cole. I'll lead you off with a prime example. Why is it that the standards at Clemson for football for the last 15 years have been sky high when it comes to fans and the expectations of winning for fans, but they don't have that same level of expectation for basketball? Why is it that you can demand excellence in one sport and be like, mediocrity over there is okay with me?
Well, I think it's the fans that are guilty of that, not the athletic department itself.
Still?
I would say fans are guilty of that at 99% of schools, and let's be honest, the money makers are what we care about, right? Like, no offense, but guess what? Tonight here at Burns High School, there might be 6,000 people here. Next week for a volleyball match or a wrestling match, there won't be that many. Football's king in the South, especially, not just the South, but people care more, regardless of what they tell you. As many fans love Clemson basketball or South Carolina whatever it is, it's all about the football, man, and I don't know if that'll ever change.
Well, I mean, the university kept extending Brad Brownell even before this little mini run that he's been on over the last 2 or 3 seasons, where things have ended badly for Clemson, obviously, a couple times in the last few years, but the university kept extending his contract. He'd go to the tournament 1 year, and then he wouldn't go for 2 years. And then he'd go for a year, and then he wouldn't go for 2 years. So, I mean, we're going to find out, especially next year, if Clemson football struggles again next year. We're going to find out if the standard really is the standard for football, or if fans are more than happy to sit back and enjoy the fruits of what happened back in the aughts, right, or in the teens. So I don't understand why Clemson University kept extending Brad Brownell.
Because he's a wonderful coach, Diesel. I mean, don't we all know that? I mean, he's the best there is, right? That's what they say, at least. Hurricane Jeff gets in. He says, I don't know why the University of Miami athletic department keeps pushing the football team 35 miles north of Hard Rock Stadium when, let's see, the text message got split. When 15 minutes away from there is Tropical Park, which has been offered for a renovation to turn into a football stadium. That's interesting. I did not know that, Hurricane Jeff. That is interesting. And I would agree with that. I don't know that that's the best location for them.
Cole, what say you? Something about, I know you're a Clemson fan, but you're a college football fan at heart as well, and you care about South Carolina being good. You care about other teams being good. Something that has always just kind of stuck in your craw. Why is this operating the way that it is?
It's a good question. I think for Clemson, there's been I would say for the better part of 2 decades, a very consistent standard within like the athletic department. Like I think the department has made good hires, especially like recently with Sean Poppy leading the women's basketball team. But you know what? I don't know that. I guess if I have to pick something, I don't know that. I guess it's a double-edged sword here. Clemson being the family-first type of program that it is, especially with football, right? I guess the double-edged sword of that, and this is where I have to lean, Diesel, is the fact that double-edged sword in my mind of being family-first and bringing guys on your staff who are good assistant coaches but are your buddies and family-friendly guys that you love. I think that double-edged sword has kind of run its course at Clemson, and I don't have an issue with, having that family environment, family atmosphere, but at the end of the day, man, I think fans care more about wins and losses than they do anything. And having those guys on your staff is one thing, but I don't know that having all these Clemson guys on Dabo's staff over the past few years has produced in the way that he thought it would.
Yeah, it's an interesting prospect. And look, I say winning is fun, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, basketball, track and field, soccer, any of it. Winning is fun, and I want my team to win at everything. Sure. And when you're at Clemson and you've got the kind of money that's coming in at Power 4 programs, it's not like the soccer team has to go broke so that you can spend more money on football. That's simply not the case. So I've never understood why Clemson fans just forget their fandom. They forget that they're Tiger fans during basketball season because, well, it just doesn't mean anything for them to win basketball games.
Well, I will say this, to be fair, I think there is a lot of buzz around the basketball program right now, more than there's been in a while, especially with Sean Poppy, man. Like the Clemson's women's team has been horrible, and now that they are starting to turn the page, I think there's a lot of buzz around that as well. And Brownell's been up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster, right? But it is interesting. Diesel, before we get to our weekend menu at 5 o'clock, let's put on our prediction hats and tell you, Tolo's out there, just how we think it's going to go. Our predictions, score predictions for Clemson tonight and South Carolina tomorrow. Tolos want to hear from you as well. That's next on the Fan Upstate.
101.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the Odyssey app. Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, Tolos, get them in. 844-FAN-PHONE. Also on the stream, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Tweet them at us. He's at Diesel on Radio. I'm at the Cole Bryson or at the Fan Upstate. What are your predictions? Score predictions for South Carolina A&M tomorrow and Clemson versus Louisville tonight. Diesel, let's start with tonight's game. The Tigers and the Cardinals playing on a Friday night up in Louisville. And I've been very clear on the show today. I think Clemson wins. Let's make our official score predictions. Do you want the floor here on Clemson, or do you want me to have at it first?
I'm just kind of shooting off the cuff here, okay? I didn't spend a ton of time thinking about this one. I think Clemson's offense, Roland, is going to score a lot of points tonight. I think Clemson on the road scores 38 points. I'm going to say 38-27. Okay. Clemson wins. 38-27, so an 11-point win.
I am going Clemson 30, Louisville 20. A 10-point win on the road for Clemson. What was your point differential?
11. I said 38-27.
Okay, let me tweak mine. I'm going to go 30-21. 3 touchdowns for the Cardinals. 30-21 is my official score prediction. Clemson wins tonight by 9 is my prediction. Diesel and I both going with the Tigers on the road tonight to get it done. Tolos, do you agree, disagree? Let us know. 844-326-3663. Going to be a big one tonight. Let's see if the Tigers can bring home the dub. Let's go to College Station, Diesel, where South Carolina on the road tomorrow at Texas A&M. A very, very tall task for the Gamecocks when you talk about having to go down and take on this A&M team. Last I looked, they were a 17.5-point dog, and that's going to be tough. I'll give you the floor here first again. Your score prediction for the Gamecocks and the Aggies.
I'm going to go South Carolina's struggles offensively continue. I'm going to say they score 13, and they give up to the Texas A&M Aggies 42.
Oh, my gosh. That's a lot. That is a lot. Did you say 42-13? Is that what you said?
42-13.
I wish I could say, gosh, you're an idiot. You're wrong. There's just no way that's going to happen. I'm going to be a little bit more in favor of the Gamecocks defensive unit. Diesel, look, I don't think South Carolina wins the game. There's just no path to victory. We talked about that earlier with Smitty. I'm going to go Texas A&M 38. South Carolina. I think they score 30. I think A&M scores 38. I really do. I'm going to go 38-19. South Carolina gets 19 on the board. 38-19 is your score. A&M wins over South Carolina tomorrow, 38-19.
Interesting.
There you go.
John Ale taking that one as well. He's taking South Carolina plus 17.5 over Texas A&M for the Upset Picks Challenge. A couple of Tolos have taken that one. Jacob and Spartanburg feeling good about the Gamecocks' chance to get that big dub.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. It really is. We'll see, though. Tolos, let us know. Continue to get your predictions in as we go into our number 3.
Let's do it. When we come back, weekend menu, calling out Leprechaun of Lyman. Where is your upset pick? That's all coming right now.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish. With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
On the Fan Upstate.
Cole, always some tasty games in every single time slot, sometimes more than others. Occasionally it's a cornucopia where you get to choose between 5 or 6 great games. Sometimes you only get 1 or 2 great games, and that's what you got to pick from, but that's okay. We do this segment every Friday. We call it our weekend menu. If you could only watch 1 game in each time slot, what is the most elite game available in the noon slot, the 3:30 slot, the roughly 7 o'clock slot? And maybe there's something tasty in late night football, a little less than it used to be. You know, we used to get a lot of late night Pac-12 action, but thanks a lot to the Big Ten for ruining Pac-12 after dark. It sucks, man. I hate not having a lot of great games to choose from late at night on Saturdays.
Yeah, and you know what? This is all games across FBS, tastiest menu.
Mhm.
Some of those lower unranked games are still tasty, Diesel. We're talking about all FBS games. By the way, do you know what FBS stands for?
Football brisket subdivision?
Close. Bowl subdivision.
Oh, okay. Well,
Bowl.
I like that too.
I like
deep
brisket
bowls.
better. I like brisket better.
Like a brisket bowl, I can do that.
A brisket bowl? I don't think I've ever heard of that. That does sound good. How about this? Better than a brisket bowl, how about my favorite, the baked potato with the brisket inside of it? The meat inside?
That's good stuff.
I mean, who doesn't love that? Even add a little mac and cheese in there, now we're talking, right? Oh, my.
Yeah.
What are those called? Those big potatoes? Like a spud or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Loaded.
There's a couple of restaurants, and there's one in particular that's unfortunately no longer with us at the moment. It is coming back, Smoke on the Water in Greenville. They used to sell smoking jackets. They would take a potato and they would hollow it out.
Yeah.
And they would fill it with brisket and cheese and chives and top with a little sour cream.
Ooh.
Oh, so
man.
good.
Hard to
And
beat
it's
that.
just this little bite about that big, but it was loaded with great stuff.
I
man.
love it. I don't know how
I
that
miss
got down
those.
the food conversation. Sorry about that, but
It's the
now I'm
weekend menu.
hungry.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So tonight, Cole, let's actually start with tonight's games. There's two
Two.
games tonight, and both of them feature a ranked team. Neither one of them features 2 ranked teams. But from a national perspective here, if you got Clemson, Louisville, and then Minnesota at number 8, Oregon, you can only watch one. Which of those games are you going to watch?
I saw Minnesota in person a few weeks ago when they played at Ohio State. Ohio State made Minnesota look like not an FBS team, but an FCS team. And my fear is that Dan Lanning and Oregon are going to do the same. The point spread on this one, by the way, 25.5 points. I believe, this one's going to be ugly tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't give you an
okay.
answer. I guess Clemson's the favorite tonight, right?
Yeah, it's a good game, and both of us are expecting a fairly high-scoring game. You're expecting 51 points in your pick. Doing the math here, I've got 63 points being scored in the matchup tonight. I think Miller Moss could see a competent quarterback across the way and say, you know what, I need to keep up a little bit. I need to throw some TDs in this game.
Yeah, I could see that happening. We talked about it in the very first segment of the show, this thing becoming high scoring, becoming a blowout. Like, it could happen, but ultimately, I like Clemson's defense. They played good last week. They got pressure on the quarterback. They got 6 sacks a week ago. I think they play better. So to answer your question, I think the game to watch tonight from a national perspective, even though Clemson's had a bad year, I still think they carry enough brand power to say, yeah, Clemson, Louisville, ranked team in Louisville. Hey, let's find out as a nation if Louisville's the 20th best team in the country.
Well, let's look at the noon o'clock slot for tomorrow, Cole. A couple of big-time, highly rated teams playing in this one. You got Wisconsin at Indiana, 28.5-point spread on that game. You got South Carolina at Texas A&M, 17.5-point spread on that game. You got number 9 Notre Dame at number 22 Pittsburgh, the road team favored by 12.5. So they're not really expecting that game to be all that close. Yeah, Michigan's playing in a 10.5-point game against Northwestern. South Florida, 24th ranked team, playing a pretty good Navy team. I mean, the star power is there. The brand power is in this time slot, but the close games, they certainly are not.
No, the Stars are not playing good teams, right? I mean, A&M Indiana would make for a, hey, now that's a Fernando Mendoza versus Marcel Reed. Maybe we get that in the CFP. This one's tough. You know, if the question is which game do I choose, and I'm sitting at home watching, I know the question is supposed to be from a national perspective. I just don't know if Notre Dame Pitt really moves the meter. Now, here's the reality. What happens at not 12 o'clock, but what happens at 1:30, 1:45, right? That's where we determine how good of a game these are, Diesel. If you told me, hey, at 1:45, 2 o'clock tomorrow, that Notre Dame-Pittsburgh game is going to be a 5-point game, oh, okay, I have interest there. But going into it, I'll be honest with you, I really don't have a lot of interest. And on the flip side of that, South Carolina A&M is interesting for like the first 10 minutes, but Marcel Reed and those guys may pull away, and then in the same token, by 1:45, 2 o'clock, that game could be over tomorrow. So this one's actually challenging, picking one game. I would probably go Notre Dame-Pittsburgh, not by a mile, but I mean, I don't know what – I mean, I'll tell you this. I know this is crazy, but I'd almost rather keep an eye on that Arkansas-LSU game at 12:45,
Wow.
even though Arkansas sucks. They do. But reports today about maybe Ed Orgeron and Arkansas and LSU with a new coach and they're 4.5-point favorites, I'll still take bad SEC football over Big 12 football. So tomorrow at noon, Diesel, that might be a good time to get your honeydew duties out of the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, this South Carolina A&M game, if you're talking about this before the season starts, you're saying to yourself, well, we expect this Carolina team to be at least pretty decent, and they got Lenora Sellers.
Sure.
And they're going against Marcel Reed, and I know it's A&M, and I know they kind of have a tendency to drop games that they shouldn't drop, and maybe they won't actually be all that good by this point in the season. But, man, how that script has completely flipped. I still like the idea of seeing the Lenora Sellers Marcel Reed matchup. To me, that is still interesting. And
yeah,
as I was telling Smitty earlier, Lenora Sellers still listed as the third best quarterback prospect for the 2026 class. That to me is interesting enough to probably get me to tune in right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You're right. You get into the second half, and this game may look pretty lopsided, and you say, all right, what else is on, or what can I go do outside until the 3:30 games kick off?
Yeah. It's interesting, though. Ultimately, maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're wrong, and A&M Carolina is more of a game, by 2 o'clock than we expected. I hope that's the case. I really do.
Let's go to that 3:30 time slot, Cole, and this one gets really interesting. I think I know your answer, but there's some some good games outside of the most obvious choice. Number 11, Oklahoma at Alabama, the number 4 team in the country. You've also got a 21-ranked Iowa that took Oregon to the brink last week at USC, Southern Cal, number 17. You got Virginia Duke as a game that maybe some people are going to be tuning in to watch. And, of course, the Toilet Bowl this week, Penn State, Michigan State, 2 teams that are 0-12 in conference play.
That's the one I'm watching. No more. I mean, next.
Michigan State got hit with a big old penalty this week.
I saw that. No, that's my game. That's my game. I mean, that are you kidding me? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, you know the answer. But now, Virginia Duke could be good. Hey, Virginia Duke could be good. It could be. At a 4.5-point spread, that's my upset pick, Diesel, in favor of Duke. Virginia's the underdog. Will Virginia lose 2 weeks in a row? I think that's a good 3:30 game. But, yes, you know my answer. It's App State JMU. I'm kidding. JMU is favored by 20.5. Hope that doesn't happen for you and your
Me too.
Mountaineers. No, it's an
Fire
easy
down
answer.
Loggins if it happens.
Oh, boy. It's an easy answer. Oklahoma, Alabama's the game. Now, perfect scenario tomorrow. You've got Oklahoma A&M on the big screen. Over to the left, you have Virginia Duke, and you might keep an eye on Miami, NC State. You might keep an eye on Iowa, USC, which could be a really good game. USC is favored by 6.5 points. But to me, the game of the week is Brent Venables in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah.
at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this could be, Alabama has not been good at running the football this year. Oklahoma got one of the best defenses in the country. Could you imagine? I mean, I know that there's no shame in losing to a Brent Venables-led Oklahoma team unless you're Alabama, and then it's a shame to lose to anybody, right? It doesn't matter if you lose to the New England Patriots. You still should be stoned and run out of town for losing to anybody. So you're right. That is the game of the week. It's going to be an absolute monster. I expect a back and forth.
Sure.
I expect quarterbacks to have to put this game on their back.
Yeah, I think so. And Brent Venables' defense is so good. We talked about it earlier in the week, maybe yesterday. This is a monster game for Brent Venables when you talk about playoffs implication. Look, if you lose this game, you, in my opinion, you are talking to you, Oklahoma, you are not making the CFP. You're not. So the reason I think this is going to be such a good game, Diesel, I think this is a playoff game. I think this is a college football playoff game. Yes, we talked about it the other day. I don't love the expanded playoffs. I don't love more teams getting in. I don't love it. I think it waters down the regular season a little bit, and I believe you're still left with the same teams when it's all said and done. But the advantage is you're talking about a 2-loss Oklahoma team that's backs against the wall here. You say, well, a 2-loss team backs against the wall, that's a pretty good season. Why would they be put in a tough spot? Well, simply put, you're not making the college football playoff if you lose this game and you're Oklahoma. So this is essentially a playoff game, not for Bama. Well, not for Bama, maybe more
But a 2-loss Bama that lost to Florida State to start the season, I mean, maybe that's I still think a 2-loss Bama probably is depending on the circumstances around them.
But are they still 2-loss from today? You know what I mean? I mean,
you're right.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this. It's huge for Oklahoma. It's huge, all caps, like H-U-G-E. But for Bama, it's really big.
Yeah.
Right? So I think this is the game of the week.
Like I said, I could just see that Florida State win to start the season still being a big old black eye.
But it's Bama.
On this team.
It's Bama.
I know.
No,
and they got left out last year. Do you think if they're right there on the edge, do you think that the playoff committee would leave them out 2 years in a row?
Diesel, Bama could lose to Berea High School, and it'd be like, it's no big deal. They're bad. I know, you're right. They did get left out last year.
Excuses for Bama.
Right. They have built-in excuses. They did get left out last year, but I don't think that – I don't know. I could see Oklahoma winning this game. I could. They have one of the best rush defenses in the country. Ty Simpson, he has taken care of the football this year, man, just flat out. 1 interception on the season. This guy is just kind of a commander of the offense and a commander of the football team, Diesel. I think Bama wins. It's at home. It's in Tuscaloosa. But, my gosh, I think this is going to be a dogfight. This could be a good game. I don't know that Bama's run game that has been kind of lethargic at times this season. I don't know if it improves drastically against the really good rush defense of Oklahoma that I believe is 6th in the nation. But I think this could be a battle of 2 big brands and 2 blue bloods.
Cole, I got a matchup here for you. 2 games head-to-head. One is probably going to be the better game, and that's number 10 Texas at number 5 Georgia in the 7:30 time slot.
Okay.
But one that's got so many off-the-field implications. Florida at Ole Miss. Could you imagine the vitriol being slung around the SEC message boards if Ole Miss loses to Florida? You're going to have fans saying that Lane Kiffin has already accepted the job at Florida and that he is losing this game to suck up to the people who are doing the hirings down there, and he might as well get on the bus and go back to Gainesville with them. There is a lot of juice in this game, even though it's an unranked on the road at a number 10 team.
Yeah,
10 team.
And it's an 11.5-point spread, right? Look, here's the reality of it. It's SEC football. Is Florida good? No, they're not. But I'm telling you, I would spread a little cheese on that 11.5. I'm not saying Florida wins the game.
Yeah.
I do not think – I like Trinidad Chambliss way too much. I think that Ole Miss does win the game, but 11.5 points. Or, on the flip side, does Lane Kiffin come out and spank them? Does he come out and just spank them, you know? Yeah. I mean, and make them tuck their tail between their legs and crawl whatever a gator does back. I don't know, but maybe Lane Kiffin comes out and uses this game as an example on the flip side of what you said, maybe a trap game. What if he comes out and says, "Hey guys, I'm here. Who wants to pony? I mean, who wants to take this Lane Kiffin ride? Train for a ride? It could happen.
We'll have a bidding war at the 50-yard line.
That's
How
right.
about that?
That's right. I like
It's your weekend menu here. We got one more time slot to look at, Cole. That would be the late night time slot. You gotta go. If you're gonna stay up a little bit late, you're gonna have some maybe okay games to look at.
Sure.
TCU at BYU. That's a 3.5-point game. Boise State, they've kind of fallen off a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But Boise State, San Diego State, and then Wyoming, Fresno State for your late night fights. If you haven't had enough football by 10 o'clock at night. TCU's 6-3, by the way.
No, that's the one.
BYU's 8-1.
That's the one. BYU. It's a 3.5-point spread. Hoover's been a really good quarterback. Let's see what TCU can do. BYU. Now, here's what's interesting. BYU, I like them in this spot. They're at home. Yes, they're playing a decent TCU team that's unranked, 3-3 in the Big 12. But remember, Diesel, BYU's coming off a loss. Good teams typically don't lose 2 in a row, and BYU is a good football team. They're 8-1, suffered their first loss a week ago. I like BYU a lot in this spot, actually. I think they win and cover the spread. But to your point, maybe the game at 10:30 between Boise State and San Diego State's 94-76, and it's fun to watch, and there's fireworks, Mountain West football, right?
These are 2 4-1 teams in the Mountain West. Even though Boise State,
Sure.
They were riding really hot, and they got blown out last week against Fresno State, 30-7 at home.
Yeah.
By the way, they are still a team that has been trouncing teams all season long.
And
so we'll see.
they're an underdog. They're a 1.5-point dog on the road.
On the road.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, let's go to the phone lines real quick, Dewey. We got about 60 seconds for you.
Oh boy,
what have you got to say on a Friday?
Yeah, I already done made my beer runs for the weekend. Clemson's playing tonight, and I got to figure out how to change my radio station to go, because y'all want to change the Burns game to another station, which is a travesty. But I'll figure it out. And I'll be drinking my beer tonight.
You gonna listen to me, Dewey?
I might for a second or two, or I might put it on for a second.
Okay.
It's gonna be a hard choice.
Well, no. Put the Clemson game on the TV, turn the volume down, and listen to us call Burns Rock Hill's playoff game. Come on.
Yeah, I might. Yeah. I'm gonna have a couple beers tonight. I might do that. I still gotta figure out how to work my radio station, because I always just have it on this station. Now I got to move it to put it on the politics station, and I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But anyways, tomorrow South Carolina's gonna put the ups on Texas A&M. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
You're wrong.
And NC State's gonna beat Miami too. Mad crap.
Whoa.
Oh.
Thanks for the call, Dewey.
Thanks, Dewey.
All right, Diesel, let's continue the college football conversation. Bill Bender, The Sporting News, good friend of the show. We talk to Bill next. stream for those watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But, Bill, I want to start with a big picture college football question when it comes to 2025. Like you do, I watch college football, multiple games every weekend. And I want to do an investigation, a deep study on why the run game, maybe last year can be included on this as well. But to me, just watching, I was like, man, 6 weeks into the season, having the feeling of teams just can't run the football. And then I started doing a little digging, and turns out, guess what? FBS teams average yards per carries down 4.18. You look at some 100-yard rushers per week, it's down roughly 25 to 30%. Explosive run rate, which is a 10-plus yard run, is down. In your mind, Bill, you watch a lot of college football. Why is it so hard for teams in this modern era of college football to run the rock?
You got to stay committed to standing the teams that aren't your academy. They don't count, right? Well, they do, but that's what they do. So, like, a Power 4 school that averages over 225 rushing yards, that list is going to be Utah, Oregon, Missouri, Indiana, and then you're getting into, like, Florida State, Michigan. Those are teams that, and when you watch Florida State, Georgia Tech, Michigan, those teams are Indiana, their strength, and the reason why they ran into some trouble last weekend was Penn State's not the running. So I'm with you. You know, I when I look at like national championships, I think that those teams that run through you 200 yards per game in the FBS out of Power 4, they're going to have a lot of success.
Bill, I'm glad you said that the service academies don't count the day after Veterans Day, not on Veterans Day, because you might have a tank collar at the front door right now saying that kind of stuff out loud. That's dangerous. I'm talking to Bill Bender of the Sporting News. I've been screaming about this on social media for the last 3 days. I saw ESPN send out a notification, a push notification to people's phones, raising the question about where North Texas' running back is going to be next year, sort of predicting where he might go in the transfer portal before the transfer portal window is even a month before the transfer portal window. If I'm North Texas' athletic director, I am suing the living hell out of ESPN. Because he might have left anyway. He might have gone into the portal anyway. He can make his own decision. But how is that not tampering to the highest degree?
Oh, I don't think you should be allowed to write those. Well, if it were me, I'll put it this way: if it were me, I'm not writing that story until we actually. Then it's fair game. Like once we do that with quarterbacks all the time. If we're going to do that with quarterbacks, you know, whatever. Side Ohio State or Nebraska back up. You would write that this right away. And then in defense of with the service academy, I love it. We had a really good story on Coach Corbat last week. Coach Flag and her name. I've seen connections. Coach I know they coach in Air Force, and that's very well for days ago too. So I wasn't big. I love the team. I'm one of those people that love watching.
Bill, when you talk about great teams, elite teams that have an opportunity or a chance to compete for a national title, you've seen it with Clemson, you've seen it with Alabama in years past. Every team's going to have a little small spot on that, a little blemish where they don't perform up to standard. But guess what? The great teams, even in those games, still find a way to win. Indiana, 27-24 over Penn State on Saturday. And a game where I really admire the way that Indiana responded, and maybe the best catch I've ever seen in the history of college football. What did Saturday's game between Indiana and Penn State tell you?
That Indiana had, okay, so had you guys text me, okay, so we're Penn State down they can't stop their running game. That building Penn State moment, their defensive front getting after Indiana all day, and it was very impressive. Loss, and Fernando Mendoza was right. That's the second time he's done it this season, and what a throw and catch though. I know Jeff Johnson had an amazing call and took the word right out of his mouth. He's screaming. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm on Cooper down at Deep Town. Wow. But not just the catch, but the body people there. And, props to Indiana. Not to mention that pile on that they were brought, but they did trust. And I think the one concern I would have, it wasn't this time, but started off with running the football. That's the first time they really couldn't dominate games just by running the ball. And that's going to happen to them in the playoffs when they run into that bracket. I have to
Bill, what do you make of this trend? And we saw it on Saturday. The Clemson game was locked with Florida State. The Clemson student section starts doing the tomahawk chant and chanting the war chant. I see multiple teams this season get out white towels or T-shirts and do sandstorm on South Carolina. I don't know if this is a trend that's really sweeping the nation, but I feel like I've seen it a handful of times where opposing fan bases are trolling their opponents by doing their traditions actively. But what are you thinking about this trend?
It has to be to figure out what 18-year-olds do and 22-year-olds. And I have enough problems. I got a 14-year-old figuring out that his buddies say things like 6, 7, like I just stare at it. Best way to put up with it is just stare. I mean, do it. Like, but in all fairness, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that could sort of with around other teams are doing sideline. Michigan, Ohio State, whoever they were playing, start dancing too. I mean, there are some but that's I don't really pick up on that, but it doesn't. College kids are going to do college kids things. That's going to continue long after the job.
Yeah, it's true. Bill, when you look at the top 25 that was released, the AP 25, you see Ohio State's, you see the Indiana's, you see the Texas A&M's. But I want to ask you in your mind, how far off is Alabama? They had a 20-9 win over LSU, and that score is really not indicative of how weirdly close that game was on Saturday night. How far behind the Ohio States and Indiana is Alabama in your mind?
Not far at all. I mean, matter of fact, we have Alabama has projected us. I'm not sliding Texas A&M. Of course, Texas A&M will be ranked now, defeated, but this Alabama team is really talented. Well, their defense is playing better, and Kalen DeBoer's done a fun coaching job. So they play Oklahoma this week. I can change my mind if Oklahoma comes up with Tuscaloosa and wins, but I don't see that happening. And, I would put them in that weight class with Indiana, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and then you have the gap to beat. Like, we really believe that Georgia is really good. We're gonna find out Saturday. That's the game we're all gonna be watching. But
Bill, in the modern era of desperation from a lot of schools when it comes to hiring new OCs, any OC or head coach is one great season away from turning their fortunes around and getting a big-time job. I think a lot of people around here nationally had the expectation that Garrett Riley would thrive at Clemson and would immediately get on people's short lists for Power 4 and head coaching job. Hasn't really gone the way that he'd like, even though he's had, Kate Klubnik, a Heisman candidate quarterback now for 3 years. How much do you think Garrett Riley has really hurt his prospects or delayed his time when it comes to getting a head coaching job at a major program?
Never know. I mean, I think a guy like Garrett Riley is a head coach throughout probably 5 months. I'm not sure she's going to help USA and something like that. I mean, Sonny Cup is right? There's plenty of offensive on that route. They've got a good job. And then there's also coordinators that just aren't happy coordinating. Brent Hartline's a great example of that, right? Like, we're Brandon Lincoln, Penn State, another job, left Penn State, Ohio State, an Ohio State guy that likes calling plays for them. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting question. question. I think when they hired Garrett, it's probably a different vision of how to roll this. But, yeah, I think I don't know how to say he's got plenty of time.
Bill Bender's Beat Sporting News. All right, Bill, we're going to go rogue here. I've got two pieces of audio that are going head to head. Which piece of audio, you only get to choose one, do you not predict, but do you declare the winner in this head-to-head audio challenge with Bill Bender of Beat Sporting News? The first one you mentioned on Saturday, it's making its rounds. Here's your first choice. So an incredible Gus Johnson play-by-play call, right? That's your first option. Your second option, Bill, is someone we had on the show before just a couple of weeks ago. We do a segment where we go behind enemy lines, bring on the play-by-play voice of whoever Clemson South is playing. Chris Stewart, the play-by-play voice on the radio call of the Alabama Crimson Tide. A pretty good shot at LSU. I want you to tell me which audio wins, Gus Johnson's call or Chris Stewart's shot at LSU. Which one wins, Bill?
I'm still taking Gus, but I'm going to qualify that with this. That when I'm in the car, and I'm in the car a little bit on Saturday, and you guys came up on the phone, but I really still enough that I love this now. But we're going to do flipping serious. Gotta, and I'm going to cater the guys for that. I love listening to summer. Like SEC and ACC because of the accent, number one, and number two, that they just don't let it. They let it fly pretty quick. You know, a lot of Big Ten teams, they'll stay objective in air quotes, but it's not like it starts throwing shots. The other team makes it laugh. I love it. Someone special, you know, takes a shot and do it, something like that. I love it, and that's what this sport's supposed to be about. So. Pretty even there, but that's man, that's so good. I hear that live. I'm laughing so hard. You can literally feel his excitement. And he could not get it twisted. Incredible.
Bill, what do you think LSU's private investigators are hoping to find if they're digging through Brian Kelly's trash? We let off the show with this, and in my mind, LSU was doing irreparable damage to its reputation. I mean, they're going to hire somebody. They're going to throw a lot of money at somebody. So it's not like the job's going to unfilled. But how bad does it look if you sign a bad contract, and then you refuse to pay out that contract, then you try to use some sort of a loophole to get out of paying said contract? What do you think? You obviously follow Brian Kelly a little more closely from a national perspective. Yes. What do you think is they're hoping to find? I haven't seen anything or heard anything from his time at LSU that would lead down the path of a full cause termination. I don't know.
Now, this all sounds like they don't. And Brian Kelly, no, sometimes meet you halfway. Some money, it doesn't sound like Brian Kelly is going to do that. And to be honest, I think embarrassment is a shift from Brian Kelly's failure and failure to me.
How much time left? Oh, sorry, you can't talk. I forgot.
Now, like
Oh.
I forgot that you can't talk on the stream.
That's a stable environment. Now you're doing this. So all negative headlines that if you were a major coach, into that interview thinking, but less. But although if I was interviewing for that job, I would have to say, hey man, last guy is here for 7 games. You know, if I have a year where my quarterback turns What are you going to do to me? And I think that's a valid question for whoever interviews for both of them. And Auburn, I understand. Auburn's had 5 straight weeks. That's working on a 5th straight week. So the next guy, you don't have to ask them. They're going to be expected.
I'm with you on that. I said earlier, I think LSU's going to egg on their face now. Bill, going back to that Gus Johnson call, my last question for you. He said at the very end of that audio clip, just go ahead and give him talk about Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy now. Are you okay with that? Is Mendoza Bill Bender's Heisman Trophy favorite on the 12th day of November?
Not yet. I mean, he's definitely a favorite, but I mean, he'll be today. Not necessarily. The guy that telling him, if Diego Pavia for Vanderbilt, their only loss to the Alabama, is Texas, nearly brought them back. Nearly more victories don't do that, but he would have to be paint king if he would get to a college football playoff for the ACC championship and a conference where nobody wants to put that conference. I think he's a guy that I would definitely consider as well.
Bill, it's time. Let's get your upset pick for this week.
I already catered to you once. I'm going to take Clemson. To get a win at the Dog. I'm trying to think what did I pick last week? I got to right. I don't know, but I can't be anywhere near the lead on this, so I can take whatever shot I want. I'll take Clemson at home, and then I kissed them. You guys twice.
You did, man. That's why you're the best.
Last week, you took Iowa to upset Oregon. That's the same game I took, and it was very, very, very close.
I've had a lot of I'm going to go back and look at how many
Well, we keep a record, Bill. If you need,
no, I don't want to know my record.
Text me, and I'll get you your picks week by week.
Bill, you're the best, man. We'll talk to you next week. You too, Bill Bender, Beast Morning News.
Whether it's on the real field of competition or your 9-year-old in the driveway, celebrate you magnificent beast.
You're going wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Estates.
Tolos, you got travel coming up. You got Thanksgiving. You got Christmas. Gifts, of course. Whew, that's an expensive thing out on the horizon. I got a great way for you to save some money right now and put some holiday cash in your pocket. And it's an offer from my friends over at MTC Federal Credit Union. How great would it be to not make a car payment for the next 90 days? A lot of people are paying $400, $500, $600 a month. Well, you won't have to do that if you move your auto loan over to MTC Federal Credit Union. And as a matter of fact, they'll even save you some money on what you're paying. What they're offering right now is bring your loan to MTC. They'll beat your current vehicle loan rate by 1 full percentage point, or give you the terms you already have and put $125 in your pocket. Plus, again, the no payments for 90 days. So that's 3 months worth of car payments staying in your pocket right before the holidays. What a time to jump on an offer like that. On top of that, they have got great checking account options. How about this? 5% high yield checking accounts and incredible 5% cash back. That's money that you've sent out the door to somebody that just turns around, comes right back to you. And I have mine set to go into my savings account. So I don't even have to think about it. It's money adding to my savings account every single month. I've just enjoyed spending time with the folks over at MTC. They're people right here in the upstate of South Carolina. So they're taking care of me, and they'll take care of you the exact same way. Now, some terms on that auto loan rate offer: minimum loan rate 4.75%, current loan balance $5,000 or more, rate based on credit worthiness, interest accrues when your loan is originated. It's federally insured by NCUA. And if you want some more information on that to get started, visit mtcfederal.com.
Chuck Sanders here for Sports Flash, presented by Progressive. Women's Hoops Thursday in overtime. Bergen beat Georgia State 90-89. Top 10 matchup tomorrow night for number 2 South Carolina when they take out number 2 USC.
844-263-663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Cole, unfortunately, we have some bad news to share with the Tolos. We mentioned this earlier in the Daily Wires. John Beam, the former head coach for the Laney Eagles in Oakland, California. You saw him on the 2020 season of Last Chance U. The news came down about an hour and a half ago that he unfortunately passed away after a shooting on campus. I think it was right there in front of one of the athletic buildings. It's so weird, so wild. That's the second one that they've had on campus now in like a week.
I hate that. I really do. I hate it so much. And, you know, I never watched, and you might call me crazy, I never watched Last Chance U. I didn't, so I'm not familiar with it, but I know a lot of people are, and, man, that's not even what matters. You know, his family and friends, and I hate it. I wish I had the words and to think that anybody walking on a campus like that could be a victim. It's a sad time we live in, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I haven't seen yet if they have a suspect, if they catch the person. I mean, who knows if it was targeted, if it was random act of violence.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think I even watched that season, or I watched part of it, and I don't remember it being as explosive as the first couple of seasons, that were being filmed down at East Mississippi Community College in Scuba, and then obviously the other season that was out in Kansas with, I'm blanking on his name now, Coach John something, the really explosive coaches. They didn't have that for that season, so maybe it just didn't catch my imagination the same way. But it's unfortunate to have violence happen like that. Tolos, you got just about 40 minutes left to get us your upset picks. I've reached out to Leprechaun of Lyman, by the way. Remember, Cole, Leprechaun of Lyman called us last week and told us that he was going to be out of town, or maybe even out of the country.
I do.
This
he was
week.
going on a mission trip.
Right.
Yeah.
And he asked us if his wife, Mrs. Leprechaun of Lyman, can send it in. So far, we haven't heard from Mrs. Leprechaun of Lyman.
Oh, man, I hate that. And you might want to get word to Uganda or wherever he's at that he needs to send his upset pick. And you know what? I was wondering about that. I was thinking he's always like on time. That doesn't make sense for him not to.
Right.
And then I remembered you said it. He's on a mission trip I think he's out of the country, I believe. So
yeah. So he's out there doing the Lord's work. So, we're not going to forgive him, right? I mean, he's still going to lose 2 points. It is what it is. The challenge is what the challenge is.
The rules are rules.
Right. Rules have to matter. So, sorry, pal. -2 for you, even though you're out there building churches digging wells or whatever it is you're up to.
The upset pick matters, you idiot. Why would you forget? That's so good. But, hey, want to get to this real quick. Some news from earlier today. 96 High School is the newest high school to have a vacancy at their head coaching position. About an hour ago, it came down that 96. It's over toward Greenwood, for those that don't know where 96 is. They have parted ways with their head coach, Matthew Bennett. He, led the Wildcats for the past 3 seasons. 96, I thought, was moving in the right direction under Matthew Bennett, but they did a little bit of new news. They did release a statement that they are now looking for a new head football coach. So now that seasons are coming to an end, Diesel, unfortunately, you're going to start to see more and more of that in terms of high school head coaches being let go or resigning, right? Union County, their head coach was dismissed, resigned, whatever you want to call it, a couple of days ago, and now that these seasons are starting to come to an end, you'll see more and more of it.
So with just the last couple of minutes we have you here before you run off to do some last-minute show prep, and, of course, hop over on our sister station, 98.9 WORD, for the call of the Burns playoff game tonight. Of those teams that just changed head coaches, maybe first year or second year of a new coach, I know we've talked a lot about, Malden and how impressive their turnaround has been. Is there somebody that, you look at who's new at their program, who you think maybe next year could take a step in the right direction?
Yeah, I do. And they always say the first year for a new head coach is tough because you feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose at times, right? And then you finally get a full off season. You finally get a full off season to come in and kind of have things figured out. I would probably say some Greenville County schools. I had one in my head and it slipped my brain, but there are some in Greenville County that this year for the first time have some new head coach, especially, hey, a school like Southside Christian, right? Or even go to a school like St. Joe's and Coach Nash. I think there's a few that it does take time. It does at the high school level. Like, you've got to give these guys a little bit of time. And Diesel, like Dewey just brought it up on the stream. He said, dang, I didn't think high school coaches got fired. You've got to realize this is way different. This is a completely different conversation than we have at the college level, where these coaches, Diesel, are making somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 a year to coach high school football. It's their livelihood. Like, when they get fired, I got to go find a job. I got to go. I mean, sometimes it's 9 to 5. It's tough. I hate seeing it, especially when you have so many friends in the industry. But it's a reality. And in the South, where they care about high school football, it's a sad truth.
How often do you see, head coaches who have been fired join other coaches' staffs? I would imagine
a lot.
Everybody's tight around here. Everybody knows each other, and sometimes it can just get away from you. It's not doesn't make you a bad football coach.
No.
It just means things got away from you, and especially at the high school level when you got to pull from the kids that live in your area, and you got the portals. Some schools pulling players away from you. It's good to see though that you might get some of those guys on other staffs and then have opportunities in the future.
Perfect example of that is Jason Farmer, who Landrum, for whatever reason, a few years ago decided they could do better with Jason Farmer, and they said, hey, we're going to go, get rid of Jason Farmer. So he goes to Spartanburg for a few years, he goes to Broome for a few years, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Dorman High School. So it works out sometimes. It does. To your point, everybody knows everybody. It's a small town. But that's it for hour 3. We got to talk, Smitty? Is that right?
That's right. Smitty going to come up and join us next. How about that?
Do it.
We'll get deep into the conversation of Clemson, Louisville, and then South Carolina at Texas A&M with Matt Smith of Sports Talk Media Network next.